I was asked to open this meeting, and in Polish, and I would like to thank cordially to our partners from the CEA-PME, and especially to Stefan, who is the very initiator, Stefan Moritz, who is the initiator, the originator of this meeting, who invited us to this webinar to talk about the opportunities of collaboration with Africa created by the European Union, because there are quite a few of them actually. So Stefan will be the key speaker actually here at this webinar. So with the honor of this topic and to express our importance, our attitude of importance to the African market, and to listen to the positions of individual European institutions. We are obviously operating under very different circumstances, considering the COVID-19 epidemic. Obviously, nowadays, many countries in Europe start to obviously focus on different branches, on different areas of economy. We do as well. We are unfreezing the economy. We are trying to relax the economy. And we are trying to raise the barriers that have been imposed. We are trying to return to the new reality, or the new version of the reality, in order to overcome the market hindrances. But we are all absolutely certain that the effects of all our activities will be only prospective, will come to us only in the future. Obviously, if we compare our collaboration, Poland's collaboration, for instance, with the German market is definitely higher than that of Africa. But for instance, our collaboration with the RSA has been growing significantly, which we are happy about, obviously. And it clearly shows us the dynamic situation of international market. And this seminar, today's seminar, or webinar actually, is devoted to the investing opportunities in Africa, in individual African countries. Hence, the participation of CEA-PME, the European organization that is the Confederation of Associations of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises. And obviously, we are a patron biter, and we have to take attention to what WHO says. That says that obviously Africa is obviously rather safe. 90,000 in Africa, in the whole of Africa. That's the discoveries of individual cases of COVID-19, obviously. So we can see that this is a safe place. Africa is becoming a very attractive place for international investors, for businesses from all around the world, because in terms of individual conditions, and we are talking about natural resources, power resources, natural resources is obviously quite abundant, which gives us the opportunity of being expansive to this market from Poland's perspective, for instance. So it is worth our while to address what sort of goods and services are imported, obviously. It's food processing commodities, for instance, that we export to Africa, for instance. The expansion over Africa, we have to keep in mind that it requires a very well thought of strategy, which is highlighted, which is clearly underscored by our experts that have to take into account many different conditions. It is absolutely out of question that the methods that we use when we shape our relationships with our close partners actually do work in the African continent. Building relationships with African partners are completely different. The commercial exchange works on different conditions. I'm sure that Andrzej Pieczonka will also confirm that. It involves travels and trips, business trips, which obviously nowadays at the current condition are out of question, at least temporarily. Just to show you how important African market is to us, and we are only at the onset of, let's say, business-wise conquer of this market, but quite successfully, to say the least, from the perspective of our local Silesian companies. Mr. Andrzej Pieczonka will say more about that. we're not talking about the food processing products, for instance, food merchandise, but if we compare the commercial balance between Poland and Kenya, for instance, we are talking about 50 million zlotys based on data from the previous year. We are mainly exporting vegetable products, textiles, or machinery, so mechanical commodity as well. What we import is mainly vegetable and vegetable processing products. So the values in the balance we are talking about, well, plus for the Polish market. When you are talking about Poland versus EU relationship, where we import a lot of wood, timber and wood processing products there, then the balance of trade is roughly 60 up to 80 million plus. Now when talking about the trade with RSA, for instance, the Republic of South Africa, we are talking about a rather positive balance, more than 1 billion Polish zlotys. We are mainly talking about mechanical plant and machinery, parts for the automotive industry, and so on and so forth. This is mainly what our trade with the RSA is based on right now. What we import from the RSA is mainly some rare earths and rare earth processing commodities and minerals. And you know, the biggest partners of the African market, as far as the EU countries, these include mainly France, Germany, but also Spain, the Netherlands, Italy as well. These countries are also the biggest importers from Africa. So at this webinar we will hear experts as far as trade with the African market is concerned, those that know this market by heart, that are interested in collaboration with this market, that shape this collaboration by establishing relationships with individual companies, but also operating via business environment institutions. They provide support to them. So from this perspective, we also have good achievements. Obviously, we also have institutions that support the Silesian entrepreneurs and enterprises. So what I wish to you is that you benefit as much as possible from this perspective. Be active. Try to ask your questions via the chat, to which obviously you are welcome. Thanks for this opportunity, for speaking up, and I will give a lot of attention to this webinar. Thank you very much.
Commerce and Industry Katowice, which is the member of European Entrepreneurs CEA-PME, the European Confederation of voluntarily organized SME associations in Europe. So no obligatory membership. I am Stefan Moritz, the managing director of that confederation. I welcome everybody to this afternoon, to this webinar. Mr. Ziawiony has perfectly framed, let's say, the situation of international trade, especially also with the African markets. Many entrepreneurs are looking forward to find new markets and also new places for maybe suppliers to maybe bring the supply chain a little bit nearer to Europe than it is today. And during the Corona crisis, we have seen how much that impacts and how much that is important. And maybe also the following problems after this crisis, which will increase the economic competition between the three big blocs, USA, China and Europe, will maybe make international trade even more difficult. So to have partners near to Europe, and Africa is definitely nearer from the geographical physical distance point of view, might be interesting. For that, of course, the entrepreneurs need a little bit of guidance, and that's why our confederation, European Entrepreneurs, which is a lobby organization in Brussels and unites 24 organizations all over Europe with 2 million enterprises associated, is intended to support the entrepreneurs from Europe to go more and more step by step to the African market. And thanks to the support from the German cooperation agency GIZ with funds from the German special initiative called Invest for Jobs, which Mr. Marcel Thomkins right after me will present more in details, we have also the chance to promote such funds and also other help and support that our confederation, our members like the Chamber of Commerce in Katowice, like other members in Germany, in Spain, in Italy, can offer to their members, to their companies, in order to find the way to Africa in the less riskiest way. Of course, that is also important that we exchange a little bit here on experiences, but also we should focus on what is the condition of doing business for 99% of the companies registered, which are small and medium-sized companies. That means with not more than 250 employees. Our confederation proposed for that the so-called European Shared Value Factory as an approach, which means that as a small medium-sized enterprises, we might have most success on the African market if we focus on a shared value approach in doing business, that in the sense of creating also value for the community, for the country, for the region where we intend to act, in order to make this a successful long-term investment, which then might boost in the coming years and become more and more interesting. You must understand today Africa has 1.2 billion inhabitants, while in 2050, only 30 years from now, this number will more than double, and it will most probably be nearly 20% of the worldwide population. And there's huge market and chances that are coming up, and we must be the avant-garde of the European enterprises going to Africa and invest there, maybe not linked to a colonial past that some of our European colleagues have, but starting in a totally new way to do business in a more respectful and equitable and, of course, shared value way. And that's why we propose to start with those who are called the so-called development challenges. The development challenges, which can be expressed with the, on the other hand side, turned around as the Sustainable Development Goals, are those challenges which have to be solved, like access to water, access to energy, access to schooling, to professional training, to health services, and to an equitable opportunities, equal opportunities in the society. All these points might be turned around as from a challenge, from a gap, from a problem into an opportunity with a business idea. And all those entrepreneurs that have a good business idea will find us as their supporters. Thanks also to all the funds that the German and other European public organizations can offer, including the European Commission, but also we will now hear it also later on, for example, the Upper Silesian Fund. I would like to stop here and come back to our approach later and give now the floor to Marcel Thomkins to present us the special initiative Invest for Jobs. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Stefan Moritz, thank you very much. Dzień dobry to everyone. I hope you can hear me and see me clearly. I have the honor, and I will just skip over a few slides here if that's okay. I have the honor and the opportunity to present to you our special initiative on training and job creation. I do, however, at this time see that the presentation seems to be a bit problematic here. So if you just excuse me for a while, I'll just skip through a few slides and see if we can actually get to my presentation. Yeah, I think we had it backwards from the beginning, but we're slowly getting there. There we go. So thank you for the patience. Yes, the special initiative on training and job creation. And as the speakers before me have already mentioned, Africa is indeed a continent of opportunity, not just because the very strong population growth, but also naturally because there's an emerging middle class coming. And now with the corona crisis, though it's of course a challenge for all of us, there is even a bigger opportunity now as many companies are now considering relocating their production sites from Asia more closer to the markets. In some cases that can mean Turkey or also Eastern Europe. But in some cases, this might even be interesting for Africa. So nearshoring is now an emerging trend. And if you are considering these things, we, of course, are very appreciative of that initiative, and we would like to support you. Maybe just quickly to introduce myself. My name is Marcel Thomkins. I live and work in Frankfurt. I've been with the German Development Corporation for a few years now. I've lived and worked in Ghana, Egypt, and Uganda. And in case you were wondering why a German initiative is targeting European SMEs and Polish SMEs in particular, generally we want to reach out to all European SMEs and all European entrepreneurs and really form a combined effort to strengthen Europe in Africa. And of course, one added benefit of being able to talk to you is that I think from the countries that are affected from the corona crisis, Poland is doing quite well in terms of economic impact. And another thing that was mentioned by my presenter Stefan Moritz before me is that Poland, of course, has a different, another approach, another relationship with Africa, which is maybe not burdened by the past, but more open to future opportunity. So therefore, I'm very happy to present to you today what our special initiative wants to achieve. And you can see here our goals are the political goals are the implementation of the Marshall Plan with Africa and the G20 Compact with Africa. And the G20 Compact in Africa, real quick, was an initiative to really focus on those countries that are showing democratic and economic improvements and reform efforts so that we can support positive developments in these countries. And here what we want to achieve is to create more and better jobs in Africa. The goals that we set ourselves are 100,000 jobs in 4 years and 30,000 training positions that we want to create, and also to improve existing work conditions. How do we want to achieve this? Through increasing private investment, so working with you as companies to support you in your investment plans and promote sustainable investments also. So if you are working in a field that is potentially in renewable energy, supporting reducing emissions and so on, these are fields where we are very happy to support you. Maybe a quick look at the countries that the special initiative is targeting. So we have 8 focus countries in which we have identified a number of growing trends and growing economic sectors where we are very happy to support you in, and where we have sometimes already developed cooperation programs to which you could just simply also link up. In terms of linking up, what might be particularly interesting to you would be the Pan-African programs that we have launched. So we analyzed that in all African countries, basically because of the population growth, we have very strong investments coming in for mobility in the areas of renewable energy, agribusiness generally, and also infrastructure and waste management. So if you work in these areas, we are very happy to support you here and integrate you into our global programs that can support you in any country. And to go real quick through the countries that we are supporting you in Morocco, we have an automotive and aerospace production cluster. We also work with textile producers and in renewable energy as well as infrastructure. Senegal has an agriculture and energy focus as well as infrastructure here. In Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana, we support the local cocoa industry. And so if there's certain products that you receive from these countries in terms of agriculture, we can support you in these areas as well. And then Ghana, maybe interestingly also because of the large oil deposits there, has a very flourishing aluminium and petrochemical production, where if you are involved in this, we can support you as well. In Rwanda, which is though very small but a bit of a shooting star in Africa, we can support you in the areas of textiles, agriculture, as well as construction and energy. And Ethiopia is a hotspot now for Chinese investment, and so many Chinese textile manufacturers are relocating, nearshoring their production to Ethiopia. So in the areas of textile and leather, we're happy to support you here, as well as energy. And then Egypt, with the largest city in Africa and a booming population as well, there's an opportunity for agriculture, food processing, textiles, and construction. And then last but not least, Tunisia has a flourishing automotive sector, where we are also happy to support you. And maybe to give this as an edit, we don't just support you in these countries, but if we build a project with you that focuses on these countries but includes others as well, then we are happy to support that as well. So let's say you want to set up a production plant both in Ghana and Nigeria. Obviously Nigeria, because of its large market, an interesting partner. We can support this as well. All right. What does that concretely mean? How can we support you? We have, from the German Development Corporation, taken basically our best practice approaches and have bundled them together so that we can offer you individually tailored support services. So we won't just simply give you a certain kind of product and then you can see if it fits for you, but we want to develop new ways of cooperating with you. So what we envision is, as part of a long-term win-win partnership with your company, we can then support your investment projects, but also create jobs and employment opportunities in Africa. And the central role here is really the joint project development, which we usually conduct with not just one company, but several. So we could cluster a number of Polish SMEs, for example, that have similar plans, similar desires, and support them in going to markets and developing in Africa. And how could this now, sort of on a time scale, work? We could first help you to accelerate your project development and the initiation of the project. We could lend you political support for site selection and construction of production facilities. This could be done by our local expert teams, which we have in all of the countries of the special initiative. The German Development Corporation, being active there for the last 50 years, has a very wide spectrum of experiences and contacts which we can use to your advantage. And then finally, we could help you then to train the employees of your new production site up until full production capability. And of course, since the name says it, we are a special initiative for training and job creation. This is really also where a lot of our expertise lies, but not just here, which I want to show you now quickly. So we have basically three main points how we support companies. First is the Business and Invest Lab. This is where the joint project development is happening. So if you have an idea, but you don't know if it's feasible, we could first give you advice on industry specifics in a country, the local legal conditions, for example. We could give you contacts and help you with matchmaking with African enterprises, for example, and generally then help you to establish a sustainable value and supply chain. We could conduct feasibility studies on your behalf if a certain investment is feasible in a certain country for your company, and then support you with the logistic processes and custom clearance, for example, also through maybe our political channels. And then finally, we have financing opportunities that we can use for internal company trainings, but also to support your suppliers. And I want to quickly go a bit about the financing options in more detail. We have, as a second pillar of our support, the development partnerships with Develop PPP. This is a project which aims to build public-private partnerships, where if you have an investment opportunity that would lead to employment, we can support you with public funding from 100,000 to 2 million. But here the public contribution needs to be, or can be maximum 50%, so the rest needs to be provided by your company. In terms of larger investments, we can lead you to the third pillar of our offer. We have the investment facility for employment, which is managed by the KfW Development Bank. And I think my colleague later will speak a little bit more about this as well. And here the focus is really about larger grants for infrastructure, for example. If you have a production site but is not necessarily connected to the local street network, rail network, sewage systems, things like this, This can be supported in a range from 1 million to 10 million. There is a call for proposal process where you hand in your proposals, and here we could come in again and help you set up and write these proposals so that you have a good chance of them being implemented. And maybe I'm winding to the end here, a little bit of a concrete example of how our cooperation could look like on the ground. I will present the Tunisian Automotive Management Academy, or short TAMA, with our partners that you can see below on the slide that are actively participating in it. In Tunisia, we had a group of German subsidiary automotive companies that were producing certain parts of the automotive production process there. However, they had a problem with middle management, so they would source local staff, local workers, and international management from abroad, but they had a problem with middle management, which was lacking. And so this inhibited their scaling up of production facilities and creation of jobs. So we joined a number of these companies, which are actually competitors, but still saw a benefit if everyone moved together instead of just one providing training and then maybe his employees would be taken up by other companies. But because everyone joined in, here was a real opportunity to create growth and benefit for everyone. So what we really did was we provided an innovative training approach and had a job partnership with these companies to further qualify existing staff and create 7,500 jobs as well as 260 training positions. And generally the training was in the areas of soft skills, lean and project management, economic sort of education generally, and we use a training the trainers approach so that we can maximize our impact long term. And so far, this has been opened up in September last year. We had first training rounds completed in February 2020, and also since the Corona crisis hit in Tunisia as well, we have switched to online courses since April 2020 and have about 100 trainees so far. So this is how a cooperation concretely on the ground could look like, but this is not supposed to limit whatever scope of cooperation we could develop with your company, but instead just give a concrete idea. So the next steps would be for you to contact us if you have concrete ideas of what you could do in Africa. If you have go-to-market approaches, any of these things, we would like to talk with you to see if we can develop a project out of this. We would like to connect you with like-minded people, like-minded companies, maybe group you together to support you as a consortium, and then we would support you in the realization of your investment locally on site. And by that way, we could together create perspectives for you as well as the local population in Africa. And with that, I'm done, and I really want to say thank you for your attention. Here you can see my contact details. So if you want to get in touch with us, you could either write to us at info@investforjobs.com, or you can write to me directly per marcel.thomkins@giz.de. I think the presentation will also be shared with you afterwards, so you're very happy to then take also my phone number and give me a call. We're really looking forward to get in touch with you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Marcel. Also, thank you, Mr. President of the Chamber of Commerce in Katowice. Thank you, Mr. Moritz, for having invited me, or rather the Agency for Business and Economic Development. Also, thank you to the Special Initiative for Training and Job Creation for giving us the opportunity to present the different promotion programs and financing solutions for your investment in Africa. Let me give you a brief overview of what the Agency for Business and Development stands for, who we actually are, and what we are mandated to do and by whom we are mandated to discuss and enter in contact with you. We are fully financed by the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, the so-called BMZ. You can see it down here with the logo. And we are your one-stop shop or your key contact if you want to engage in a developing or emerging market. That is, we are not fully and only concentrated on the African market, which today is our main topic, but we also cover other markets in Latin America, but also, of course, in Asia. So what we do is we give you advice, we give you support, we give you information concerning the different promotional and financing programs, concerning networking events that we also are hosting. And we also have a new pillar called the Help Desk for the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, something that is relevant to the German companies. So I have shown you here a short take or screenshot from our website, which you can see down here, www.Wirtschaft-Entwicklung.de. Unfortunately, it is still in German, but no problem. Just give us a call. You can contact us in either English or in French or, okay, most preferably in German. And we can give you advice concerning the different promotional programs. You can see here the 5 pillars which we are discussing on, and we are giving you advice on. General promotional programs of the German government, in that case mostly and very specific the promotional programs of the BMZ, but also we have, since we are oriented in sectors, we can give you more specific advice and information concerning other programs, for example, in the energy topic or agricultural, food processing business, training, development, financing, fintech, and so on and so forth. The second pillar is financing. I will later make a short zoom on one instrument or one fund that has been recently raised, so-called Africa Connect, where you can get financing support for your investment in Africa, but also concerning other types of financing, which is done by our partner, DEG, one of the stakeholders in the agency, which is DEG, which is a part of the KfW Bank. Then we are also organizing different kind of networking events. We are also supporting you concerning matchmaking via a platform which is called leverist.de. And we are giving you advice and information concerning international tendering, concerning German organizations, but also other development banks, in that case concerning Africa, of course, the African Development Bank. And as already mentioned, the Help Desk Business and Human Rights. So let me give you a short zoom. I was asked by Mr. Thomkins, by Mr. Moritz, sorry, to be very brief and to adhere to the time, which I of course will do. So therefore, I will only give you a zoom on 2 programs that is being offered by the German ministry. The one is concerning feasibility studies, and that is geared towards investors that want to invest in developing countries, not only in African countries, but also, of course, as I already mentioned, in other emerging economies. But for your endeavor, what you might be looking for is in some kind and somehow a support concerning a co-funding of studies that are relevant to the so-called development goals of the German ministry. The company or a company that applies has to prove and provide a specific investment intention. That is something that we are looking into. So please, if you are a project developer, that might not be the tool for you unless you have somebody, an investor, who can later on invest. And then ideally it would be, of course, the investor who would then apply for this feasibility studies. Who is eligible? German and European businesses with a certain amount of turnover. The contribution which is supported by DEG is up to 50% and is limited at 200,000 euros. So what can you use that for? It is, for example, for getting legal opinions. So having a study concerning investment possibilities. What are investment laws? If you are energy producer, are you able to produce energy at all? Are you able to sell it? At what price? Of course, the location analysis and also market analysis, and of course, environmental and social impact studies. So that is a call that is ongoing all the time. If you have any questions concerning the feasibility studies, just give us a call or write us an email. The second Zoom I would like to do is the so-called Develop PPP program, which already was mentioned by my colleague, Mr. Thomkins, before. There we have several programs. One is the so-called Program Development for Jobs, or Develop for Jobs, which is financed by the Special Initiative on Training and Job Creation. And we have the so-called Develop Classic, where you can apply. It's a so-called idea competition, which runs 4 times a year. You can see here the dates. You can see here the website. You can ask for a public contribution from 100,000 to 2 million euros, but you will have also contribute with the same amount of money. And you will need to fulfill certain criteria, and you will not be financed concerning your core business. If you have any questions concerning that, give me a short call, a short note. It would be interesting. So for the development of the Develop PPP Classic, I think it is geared mostly if you, for example, in the context of an investment, or if you want to create a market or enter a market and you see, okay, there's a lot of knowledge missing concerning your technology, that could be a possible support program that could be of benefit to you. So let's go to financial solutions, because what you will need, not only knowledge on the ground, but also you will need some money to finance your endeavor. So for that, the DEG, the German bank, or one of the German bank, which is a part of the KfW banking group, can support you if you are looking in private business operation. That is, if you want to either invest, or maybe also you have, for example, a client in an African country that would like to buy your technology. Therefore, we have several possibilities by the DEG. DEG is providing you with either loans, equity investment, can do project financing, mezzanine financing, and also corporate financing. And since you're all business men or women, you know what a bank is looking for. So you will have to provide, of course, your balance sheets. You will have to provide a business plan. You can contact us, the Agency for Business and Economic Development, if you have any questions concerning these programs or these financial solutions. KfW DEG, as part of German banking system, has a certain advantages. It provides you, of course, with a certain official logo on your import and export documents, for example. So it is always of benefit if you have problems concerning customs, regulation, and so on. Something that might be not new to you, it could be also good to have some kind of backup by that bank. Another point that I would like to raise, since we are talking about Africa, is the so-called Development Investment Fund for Africa. I would like to highlight the first, which is called Africa Connect. The second, Africa Grow, is not yet operational, so I will not highlight that. But concerning Africa Connect, which is also run by DEG and managed by DEG, it closes a financing gap. You can ask for a loan, a repayable loan, of course, from 750 to 4 million euro, which would be the financial contribution of DEG, and you can therefore support your investment in an African country, not only a Compact with Africa country, but also a country which is in the Compact with Africa context. So there are certain requirements and conditions. The loan can be paid either in US dollars or in euro, or maybe also in a specific African currency. It depends on the market and on the currency. You will have to provide a certain kind of equity contribution, and very interestingly, security is not always necessary. In addition, the interest rates are quite attractive concerning local interest rates, which can go up to 20% in certain markets. Here with Africa Connect, you can normally expect something in the range of a one-digit percentage interest rate. You will not to hedge a risk, and you will receive support in implementing international environmental, social, and corporate governance standards. The applying procedure is quite fast. It closes a financial gap, and I think especially for European companies, that instrument, that financial solution can be of value to you. If you have any question, just call me. I will show my contact data later. And since I have heard a lot of COVID-19 in the context of this webinar today, just always also let me mention that there has been a new pillar opened by Africa Connect, by the program, and it is there to secure existing and successfully operating subsidiaries of European companies that are facing a liquidity gap during the COVID-19 crisis. So if you have, for example, already a company running in Africa, in an African country, that could be something for you. If you see, hey, we are facing liquidity problems, give us a call. The loan that will be contributed by DEG ranges from 750 to 4 million euro at, as you can see here, very attractive interest rates. There are nonetheless some strings attached. The conditions is that the company must have been profitable before the COVID.
Please, sorry, would you try to come to an end? You are over time. Thank you.
So, as Mr. Moritz already mentioned, I am over time, it seems. And therefore, I would like to close now my last slide where you can see my contact data. Feel free to contact me, and I will be open for any kind of questions. Thank you.
Sorry for interrupting you in the last minute. I didn't count at which slide you are already arrived. To the audience now, just the invitation to send here some questions into the chat. I already have received here questions to the first two speakers. One question from Mr. Jaroslav Signat, which asks us if we plan to organize business missions to African states. To be honest, yes, we planned that before the coronavirus pandemic. And we would have brought 5 companies with very interesting business ideas in the framework of our shared value approach to African events. For example, in Ivory Coast, we planned one event. But unfortunately now, as our project closes at the end of July, we will not be able to do that. But we will try to ask and talk with GIZ to continue our efforts, and also maybe then be able to organize business missions to African countries in the second half of the year, or maybe next year, 2021. For what regards another question which has been asked, also again by Mr. Jaroslav Signat, is there a list of entities interested in becoming commercial representatives? That is a point regarding also the platform that we have just launched 3 weeks ago, African-European-Entrepreneurs.com, the platform where you have registered to this webinar. There you can find already 233 individuals that are part of more or less 210 companies, agencies and associations, which among which many from African countries already, which are classified by different sectors, branches, services that they deliver. And there you can contact them, find them, contact them directly, organize virtual meetings with them. Means now here like through the internet with a one-to-one meeting, and discuss possibilities of cooperation. And of course also we will organize business meetings also online. I will say something more about that later. For what regards then the next question, oh, you have many questions, Mr. Signat, where you can find a list of African states with developed underground mining. From by heart I can tell you, but I can tell you that on Tuesday we had a meeting online with the European Commission, with the African Commission, and with many representatives of the private sector in Africa and from Europe. And one of these representatives of the private sector in Africa was the Secretary General of the African Association of Mining Companies. And that might be interesting for you because this person could be interested to help you to inform their companies if you have products and services to deliver to these underground mining tools. I saw that one Polish company is offering tools for that, for underground mining. Maybe it is your company. So that could be, if you want, please contact me directly through the platform African European Entrepreneurs, and I will try to give you the contact of that person, the Secretary General of the African Association of Mining Companies. And the last question, if there is a list of events like fairs and conferences in 2021-22 in Africa, that is quite challenging. Of course, there are many other organizations like ours, like there is also the foreign trade chambers of the German chamber system. There are the European delegations, which have all business advisors in the European delegations in each African country. And there are many offices also of the World Bank in nearly all the African countries. So there are, let's say, intermediaries that can help you to get into contact and to learn about opportunities like fairs and conferences in Africa too. If there are any other questions, I would be happy to answer that, or to forward it to one of our... Mr. Pavel Lichnerski, your question is, new business fits perfectly into 4 issues: energy self-sufficiency for municipalities and local governments, and supplying energy for healthy food plantations in riverside belts using the river's microclimate, as well as creating new local jobs, energy, agriculture, construction, irrigation and retention, prevention of progressive drought. Can multi-threaded projects count on preferential financial conditions? That is a question I would say that I hand over to my colleagues. Maybe Mr. Thomkins has got an answer to that.
Yeah, thank you very much to reading out the quite extensive question. Mr. Lechinsky, yeah, I mean, it sounds very interesting. I think what would be required for us to really look at it and evaluate it would be a more concrete proposal where you maybe map out what you actually mean with sort of this new business idea. In terms of preferential treatment, I think, I mean, generally we are very happy to support any kind of project. So the only requirement really that is important for us as a special initiative is to create employment. So if your project does in fact lead to increased employment, all the other factors that you mentioned are of course very much appreciated as well. So I wouldn't say we necessarily give preferential treatment to any sort of project, but generally if it's a viable business idea and it creates employment, then we are very happy to conduct it. So in that sense, my answer would be, please write to us. Send us an email regarding maybe the general outlines of what you're envisioning, and then we will look at it and get into touch, in contact with you and really speak about how we can develop this idea further.
Thank you very much, Marcel Thomkins. Maybe also Verick Schick would like to answer something, to add something to the questions and the answers that I gave. Mr. Schick.
Mr. Schick, there seems to be an issue with audio. Mic back to Stefan.
I would say then maybe we try later on. Maybe Mr. Schick try to refresh your page. In the meanwhile, I would give the floor now to our colleagues from the Upper Silesian Fund, to Mrs. Zoriana Czajkowska, to Mrs. Monika Niemiec, and to Mrs. Lucyna Sikora. Thank you very much.
Dzień dobry Państwu, witam Państwa serdecznie.
Yes, good afternoon. I would like to welcome you warmly. I'm an employee at the Foreign Collaboration Department of the Upper Silesian Fund, Fundusz Górnośląski SA. So firstly, I would like to thank the organizers of this webinar for inviting us. And I would like to introduce the assumptions of the project implemented by the Upper Silesian Fund, showing you the opportunities for supporting SMEs from the Silesian province under this project. So to start with, in collaboration with the Upper Silesian Fund, the Upper Silesian province implements a project on economic promotion of the region and activities related to creating investor-friendly and exporter-friendly conditions. The purpose of this project is primarily to increase the value of direct foreign investment, or direct investment in general, in the Silesian province, but also the increase of the level of export done by SMEs from the Silesian province and promotion of the Silesian province from the perspective of habitation, settlement, but also job seeking. Under the project, what we assume is to support 236 entrepreneurs representing the SME sector. We are planning to organize 30 fairs and business missions and 11 internationalization academies, as they are referred to. Following this forms, I will provide you with some detailed info in a moment. As I've already mentioned, the main goal of our operations is to increase the investment attractiveness of the region. But also this project is assumed to increase the level of export from the SMEs in the Silesia, but also attracting the attention of potential investors, focus on individual sectors, and building the brand of the Silesian province. So as far as individual tasks implemented under the project by the Silesian province, as well as the Upper Silesian Fund, as well as the individual forms of aid that we offer to and deliver to the SMEs from the province, well, they are the following. That's the participation, attendance to foreign fairs and sector shows, organization or co-organization of individual congresses of international nature. We've had 2 such missions to West Bengal and Israel. We are planning further foreign business missions. More about that in a moment. Another form of support, also a goal, is organization of national congresses of international nature. Also extension as well as updating of the database of investment offering. On top of that, we've been working as well to analyze the market of the Silesian province by taking into account the demand of individual enterprises representing the SME sector. Another challenge, but also task, is information campaigns aimed to promote the Silesian province from the perspective of investment opportunities, but also from the perspective of export and promotion of individual project-related activities. Another task is development and delivery of individual materials, as well as the information point or contact point services operating next to the Marshal's office, organizing some individual information sharing meetings for entrepreneurs from the Silesian province, those that plan their both export and activity, or those that already are exporters. Then the aforementioned Internationalization Academy. This is a project which provides expertise concerning how to enter individual foreign markets. More about that to come. And last but not least, organization and co-organization of international incoming business missions. Now, as far as the business missions as well as trade shows are concerned, we've been planning to have 15 such business missions with the participation of SMEs from the Silesian province in the priority business target destinations. And I would like to stress that we actually take African markets into consideration. Now, taking the current situation into account, especially the COVID-19 epidemic conditions, the missions are currently being implemented on an online basis. Afterwards, we will most certainly come back to some business trips or travel missions. We've already planned 15 trips to the biggest global trade shows, the main purpose of which is to establish collaboration between the SMEs and international potential counterparties. This being an opportunity to develop the export operations of individual entities and for internationalization of the given stakeholders' operations. As far as the potential destinations of those missions are concerned, we've been currently analyzing opportunities of having business trips and missions to Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Belarus, Germany, as well as I've already mentioned, African markets. Now, as far as the incoming business missions, you can also see some destinations and the listed countries, quite diverse of them. These are plans. We'll be analyzing the current market and trying to address the current business situation. Now, I've decided to share some photographs showing you the participation in individual business missions and participations in fairs and trade shows in West Bengal, Israel, with the participation of entrepreneurs from the Silesian province. Now, a couple of words about the Internationalization Academy. Now, this is a program or a project implemented under our program in Silesia. It's a package of training courses addressing entrepreneurs that is meant to support them to actually enter individual international or foreign markets, usually and typically adjusted to individual destinations, the mission, or the given trade show. This comprising specific expertise that is provided under the Academy. Everything is supposed to be summed up with a certificate granted to every single attendant and participant of the Academy. And actually, I would like to mention that today was the first such Internationalization Academy session, this one dedicated to Middle East as well as Israel markets, where we also had this business mission. That one actually took part in February. At the end of June, we are planning an incoming mission with collaboration with the local authorities of the Silesian province. Unfortunately, this will be organized on an online basis with the support of Israeli entrepreneurs and institutions. I will also consider very interesting to focus on African markets and try to explore these in such a manner as well. Now, as far as the individual subjects and topics of the Internationalization Academy are concerned, there are 4 substantive modules that we implement. The first is export operations, building and implementing export strategies. The second module is connected with concluding international contracts and legal aspects pertaining to export. The third module pertains to international marketing. And the very last one, the fourth one, concerns cultural differences that have an effect on communication and negotiations. And I suppose from the perspective of African market, these would also be very interesting considerations, because such insight would probably provide the entrepreneurs with some expertise on individual specific markets. And last but not least, who is eligible to take part in our project? Firstly, we're talking about an entrepreneur based in the Silesian province, having the status of a small or medium-sized enterprise. The predominant place of business must be based in the Silesian province. That's one of the criteria. The entrepreneur's operations is expected to be listed with the regional smart specializations. There are 5 of them right now. It's medicine, ICT, power engineering, green economy, and industry 4.0. These are the smart specializations planned for the Silesian province. And the last thing, you should keep in mind that the support and aid received under the project involves de minimis aid. Now that will be it on my part. I'd like to give an opportunity to my friend Monika Niemiec from my department, and she will be telling you a few things about yet another project, at least the assumptions of this project that is currently in implementation by the Upper Silesian Fund. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. So indeed, I would like to present to you a project implemented by the Upper Silesian Fund in partnership with the Silesian province and local authorities, one that is in its onset. It is called In Silesia. It is funded from the European Regional Development Fund under the Regional Operational Program for the Upper Silesian Voivodeship for the years 2014-2020. A project implemented under measure called Internationalization of Local Operations, the purpose of which is to support internationalization of individual businesses. Our project addresses entrepreneurs representing SMEs that, according to the EU directive, they operate within the Upper Silesian province. The project assumptions include the service and infrastructure focus of the project. The infrastructure part means that under our operations we will build the internationalization center in which we shall render services to individual entrepreneurs from the Upper Silesian province. These services take into account building the internationalization models, and the internationalization models will constitute a sort of a blueprint for certain specific operations that are tailored to the needs of specific entrepreneurs and are supposed to cater to the needs of individual markets and enable entering individual markets, all in order to enable very tight collaboration with the internationalization center's team. The expert team will perform a detailed analysis of all the products and services offered by the given business, and then based on such a report for individual businesses, the expert team will create an entry strategy pertaining to a specific identified foreign market. As I've already mentioned, the Internationalization Center will provide not only services comprising the internationalization models, but apart from that, we will enable contacts between the local entrepreneurs with advisors that function on some specific identified foreign markets. Now, additionally, as I've already mentioned, the project will be implemented up till the year 2023 will render free of charge services to entrepreneurs, namely the opportunity to make use of consultation and advisory services from persons that analyze foreign markets or analyze individual export prospects or potential of the given entrepreneur. What we also have in mind and in plans is to provide services such as verification of foreign counterparties, as well as development and preparation of individual information packages concerning the export. Now, on top of that, under the Internationalization Center, we will also hold workshops, training sessions on a cyclic basis, all in order to provide our entrepreneurs with certain specific and targeted expertise. That would be it on my part. I strongly encourage you to make yourself familiar with our offering, and now I'd like to give the floor to my friend Lucyna Sikora. Last but not least, I would like to introduce a project that has been implemented by the Silesia Fund for a couple of years. A pani Lucyno, przepraszam najmocniej.
Ostatnią stronę z adresem, który, jeśli można by prosić o przesunięcie na ostatnią stronę, tam jest adres strony internetowej. Zachęcamy do odwiedzenia tej strony. Dziękuję bardzo.
I'd like to show just the very last slide with the website where you can visit. Przepraszam, ale nie słyszeliśmy.
Something. If you want, you can maybe finish it, but then we should go forward.
Za wiele czasu chciałam tylko Państwu zaproponować.
Right now, so I would like just to recommend using the tools offered by one of the European projects, those that enable you to find business partners on all continents, including the African continent, obviously. The partners under the project are local institutions which cooperate with the local business. And in this respect, yes, that's the slide I was looking for. Here you can find your partners that collaborate directly with this project, one that supports entrepreneurs in entering international markets. So, if you are planning to establish relationships with businesses from these countries, because unfortunately only these 3 countries from Africa participate in the project, Nigeria, Egypt and Cameroon, I strongly encourage you to contact us, our institution. At the bottom you can find the URL address where you can go and find all the information related to the services that we provide, as well as the opportunities of finding partners, promoting your offering, your profile, your goods and services, but also the analysis of the profile of the services and goods that go to the Polish business people. Based on that, probably also finding your partners. Yes, I know that the African destinations are not too popular among Polish businesses. I hope that this webinar will encourage the business people from our region, from our voivodeship, to get interested in those destinations. And now I'd like to address all the participants to the webinar, all the speakers and the audience. If you haven't yet used this project, we strongly encourage you to get interested in those tools, trying to find business partners in Africa, especially considering the current circumstances. Under this stage, the tools offered by the project really work. All the meetings have been moved to the online platform. All the B2B meetings are held on an online basis. The database of such possible opportunities is also held in electronic format. So from this perspective, the work's actually as before the pandemic, from the substance, from the subject matter point of view. So obviously I encourage you to make use of all the facilities and instruments offered to you by the Silesia Fund and everything that we deliver. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
These last words regarding the Europe Enterprise Network, which is also an enterprise network with chambers of commerce and partners in African countries. I know this is another project. It's not our project, but it is okay. Of course, they can also be a great help, and you might be, as a Upper Silesian Fund, a help. And also your presentation, your colleague's presentation regarding the support for business trips and participation in fairs in Africa through the funds of the Upper Silesian Fund is very interesting and answers the question of Mr. Signat before. I would now like to give the floor. The participants are reducing. Some of them have already left us, unfortunately. So, but we don't want to miss to listen to the experience of a person that does business with African countries, which is Mr. Andrzej Pieczonka. He's the Export Development Director of the company Instanta Sp.z. Please, Mr. Pieczonka, would you like to share a little bit your experience with us? Thank you.
Bardzo dziękuję za zaproszenie do tego webinarium.
For inviting me to this webinar. As an opportunity, I make use. So, what I bring to the table, so to speak, as participation of this webinar, as an entrepreneur, I have two roles because I listen to what you can propose to companies operating in Africa. On the other hand, that's my second role. I would really like to tell you a couple of words about what our company does in Africa. So let's start by saying that just a couple of years ago, Instanta, my company that operates in the sector of extensive sector of instant coffee production and distribution, has actually been interested for quite some time in sourcing, a very trendy word right now, but the fact that we're talking about the African continent right now, it stems from the fact that the current conditions are mature enough for us to be able to actually speak of export. This export takes place. So you don't really need to be too familiar with the business profile of Africa to know that it can be divided into two regions, sub-Saharan Africa and northern part of Africa, because these are two different, culturally, regionally, business-wise different regions. So Instanta, my company, do notice that we are a company that delivers products such as instant coffee, but we perceive our product as a very comprehensive product package, which we create tailor-made for others. Now, a couple of years ago, having direct recipients, consumers in Africa, those that would be interested in creating their branch and finding the partners in Europe, simply wasn't possible. Nowadays, it does happen. It is more and more common. It is clear evidence that economic conditions in Africa, such as development of distribution channels, is targeted on giving us more and more opportunity. So obviously, I'm aware of the fact that those who listen to this webinar are mainly business people. So, Marketing 101 is obviously good product at the right price, but also it is supported with market knowledge, financial support as well. I'm not going to talk about hindrances or obstacles because we obviously know of those. And thank you to the speakers before me that told you a lot about how to solve individual problems when operating in the African market. On my part, or our part, I would say that we only have very positive experiences. And what will make us become even more active in Africa is a couple of things. Firstly, we have customers. By customers, we mean the dynamically growing middle class, one that in, all countries accounts for increasing income, which follows development of distribution channels, more and more extensive, more and more comprehensive, and more advanced. Thirdly, aspirations related to the middle class of the African community. They are growing as well, and education of African entrepreneurs is also growing in terms of quality, so they know better and better how to do business, how to establish relationships. This is becoming significantly easier to do business with Africa. Obviously, there is a huge difference between doing business in RSA and doing business in Kenya or doing business in Nigeria, which results from the specifics of individual countries. You have to make yourself familiar with the individual cultural background, certain habits, customs. We're obviously talking about certain African/British profile, or in RSA, African/Dutch. There are countries that were colonized by the French. Here we also have a slightly different culture. From our perspective, for instance, we have different culture of coffee drinking for countries that were under Portuguese influence. For instance, recently we have started selling to Angola again. So how we do it? Mainly, well, the COVID-19 epidemic actually had some impact on us, and it's a pleasure to us to actually meet via the webinar, but it deprives us of this opportunity of direct contact, because for us, the most important instrument is actually business trip, not actually study tours as such, but we are trying to organize trips via our partners. Once we find those partners, the previous speakers mentioned that obviously this gives us opportunity of actually establishing contact via chambers of commerce and industry. We also do contact individual retail chains that are quite developed in a number of African countries. They highlight individual partners, and then we hit the road, simply hit the road. Africa is full of challenges obviously, but to us it is very important to create a business plan for every single country separately. With regard to that, obviously, in the north of Africa, we've been present for a number of years, whether it is Maghreb, just to mention Algeria, Tunisia, or Morocco. These are the countries where the culture of drinking coffee is quite a familiar thing, obviously. What we are focused right now is the sub-Saharan Africa right now. So if we thought of the classification of individual countries, I suppose significantly the highest opportunities from those markets are offered from our partners in the north of the RSA. But we are also present in Kenya, for instance, which stems from the fact that we add some technology element to our offering, or what we call value-adding element. This is a component that matters greatly in Africa, because Kenya as a country, and many other countries, many other entrepreneurs, are inclined in quickly raising the quality of the products and services they offer. In the coffee business, we cooperate, as you might think, we just, travel with the goods they already have. But it's not the case, actually, because we are offering high-tech, we are offering better opportunities as far as instant coffee is concerned. On this account, our offering is very specific, and our company offers a number of packaging versions as well, including the opportunity of designing tailor-made graphics, including marketing and so on and so forth. So we have a full package of services as well. Now, this is a dream come true opportunity, actually, and I'm talking, obviously, of an opportunity to work together. And we've been working together based on expanding our range of offering to our African partners. We are not talking about joint venture formulas, but, for instance, Instanta has 4 of its affiliated coffees in countries such as Vietnam, Colombia, Turkey, and Russia. I'm sure there will be time for opening a branch office and implementing some institutional solutions in Africa. Right now, we're just trying to expand the range of countries where we are simply present as a brand. So I've mentioned those 3 significant elements. As far as product, we're absolutely calm as regards that. We can adjust our product to the customer requirements. Expertise, this is the second thing. There is never too much of that, obviously. So after this webinar, I'm sure I will contact a number of you, those that also offer the opportunity of expanding this knowledge or expertise here. But notice those three elements that are particularly important from this perspective, and they create a certain barriers of entry to the African market. The first thing is, ladies and gentlemen, we're not talking to African countries that are strong in finance. The problems of financing to export is very important. And when talking about financing export, we're talking about the merchants' loans, deferred payments, payments that have to be hedged. It so happens that many companies that deal with that don't have African countries in their rankings. At least those rankings are not highly, those countries are not highly ranked, even though they rise in those rankings. Now, unfortunately, there are not too many companies that provide hedging or security services addressing individual markets in those African countries. We don't see too many institutions that are interested in dynamic financing of those markets, and I think in Africa it's one of the key factors to the business success. As you've mentioned already, the partner is the crucial matter. A reliable partner, that's one thing. Reliable partner, sure and certain partner, but you have to secure your know-how, obviously. In our case, how we function together with local authorities and institutions, a part of our sales partners, we base on certification. Yes, we do certify our products in certain markets, and what matters is the knowledge how to do that. We have this Nigerian-Belgian Chamber of Commerce mentioned on the slides that we have here, based in Lagos, Nigeria. That's actually that's one of the partners with which we certified one of our products. We know that it takes time. You have to know how to do that. It's also important for our local partner. But another thing that I would like to draw attention to is that promotion of your own commodity is important. The brand has to be created. The logotype, the trademark has to be secured, however, to which I strongly encourage you. Our offering includes not only the concept, as I've mentioned, so creating the private brands for other stakeholders. In RSA, for instance, in the RSA, we are currently based in 2 big retail chains, so we are standing in the second row, so to speak. We create the brand, but we have to really read the label. We are obviously also present in Poland, for instance, in the biggest retail chain, Biedronka. So we manufacture for private labels as well. But the other element of our operations is that we sell to individual countries our private brands, our instant coffee brands, trademarked by us. And here, an important thing is that the trademarks be reserved. In terms of the COVID-19 epidemic, nothing compares to the direct contact with the potential client. Obviously, we know that. And we do that by going to study tours, for instance. What is a weakness of this continent from the perspective of the food processing industry is that we have very few of very high quality trade shows there. And I have to be fair saying that a number of contacts that we establish with our African countries is those that we have the Paris Fair or the Amsterdam Fair. If we have any people representing the food processing industry right now, I can give you a hint that we also participate in such shows as Food Africa, based in Egypt, or Africa's Big 7, based in Johannesburg. It goes without saying that the trade show format is not obsolete, as some pronounced. So we are waiting, maybe not for vaccine for coronavirus. We don't know when this happens, but we are waiting impatiently for higher liberalization and opening the borders, because we would like to go there and contact directly our customers. Nothing compares to that. So our trips to Africa take 2, even 3 weeks. We go to a trade show for a couple of days, and then we simply visit our partners, our customers. Secondly, aggressive price policy. You have to be aggressive in this respect. Africa is a continent where you have to think of investment. So good prices obviously needed.
I'm very sorry to interrupt you, but we must really come to an end. It is 16:30. Our webinar was supposed to finish now, but I would like to say some words also and also allow some questions and answers. So I give you back the floor for a last couple of sentences to close, but maybe the details then you could tell that to the people also through our platform, for example.
Ja muszę powiedzieć, że nasza...
Just to wrap it up, let me just tell you that our company does collaborate with the Regional Chamber of Commerce and Industry, so I would gladly contact all those that are interested in working in Africa so that we have an opportunity to meet online or contact via email to talk directly about the opportunities of this continent. I will gladly share those experiences with you. That was just my broad introduction. So as far as our experience is concerned, I just can tell you that we're thinking about expanding our collaboration in Africa. Thank you for your attention.
I'm really sorry to interrupt your very interesting presentation, which I think for all those entrepreneurs which know how business works was very, very important to understand, let's say, a personal direct experience. You stressed very much, of course, that you have to hit the road, that you have to go there and visit, and that we really hope that the coronavirus pandemic will soon allow us to come back to the very successful business practices. Maybe an idea could also be now to put in value networking among companies. You offered it right now to your Polish colleagues. I would say networking internationally is also very important. You can have the chance to network also through our platform called African European Entrepreneurs, where you have registered. You have maybe seen it shortly, and I would like to invite you to come back to it, because also we will share here all the presentations of today. But then you might also find companies with which you can make a business. I can tell you this morning we had a webinar with in Spanish, and a Spanish entrepreneur from Basque County. They produce bouillon cubes, so the instant bouillon cubes, and they were looking for distributors to the retail sector in Africa. So maybe they can do a business together with you and your retail distributors in Africa. Mr. Pieczonka, if you want, I can give you the name of Mr. Orlando to contact him directly through that platform, which is an opportunity for every participant today. Not only to find all the companies subscribed, which now in the meanwhile have already also grown a little bit, but and you can choose, for example, like you see here on the left, also by country. For instance, here are the Polish companies that have subscribed. But also you can organize direct meetings, one-to-one meetings with visual video meetings inside the same platform. And you can present your products and business tools, business that you would offer or like to do in Africa. Coming back to our project, Best Shared Value Factory, which is the frame, let's say, of our webinar today. I would just like to launch at the end this contest to find the best shared value business ideas. A contest that will allow to 5 best ideas to be supported by us in different things, in finding partners in Africa, in pitching their ideas publicly in public events, which most probably this year will happen online. But also in finding, thanks to the specialized and dedicated support by GIZ and AWE from Germany and other institutions, the right financial support. The criteria for these best ideas that we will choose are, of course, let's say the adherence, the contribution to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, but also other conditions which we will publish this file on our platform, African European Entrepreneurs. but you can also contact me directly, and I will send them to you. If you contact me directly through the platform, you know my name. You should send us then the business idea by June 30th this year, so in 1.5 months. And after 2 weeks, we will have chosen the best ideas that we will support until the end of this year. I would like to thank to everybody, to all the speakers, to the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of Katowice, to GIZ and the special initiative of the German government, Invest for Jobs, to AWE and all the tools that they, together with KfW and DEG, present, as well as also the strong support by the Upper Silesian Fund, Fundusz Górnośląski. And thank also Mr. Pieczonka for his experience, and for all my colleagues from European Entrepreneurs for this afternoon. Thank you very much, and I look forward to receive your mails with all your questions. Have a good evening.